what it means to be an American. America is freedom, and freedom is special and rare.
We, the people of this great nation.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
We, the people of this great nation.
Good morning, my fellow Americans. I hope everyone is having a great week. It has been an interesting one, to say the least. I'd like to begin by congratulating our new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, ACB, which will be replacing RGB. So I've been looking on Facebook, and apparently the Democrats or the liberals, they seem to think that she doesn't qualify, which was the opposite argument that obviously the Democrats could not prove. So they went towards her religious beliefs and the way that she thinks. Now, let me explain something to you. This is a victory not just for Republicans. This is a victory for all Americans. This lady is a constitutionalist, which means she's going to follow the law as our founding fathers expected it to be. Okay, which was designed. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of paper. It's made our country the greatest country in the world thanks to that. Okay, so for all those haters out there, too bad. If the tables were on the other side, if the ball was in the other court, the Democrats would have done the exact same thing. That being said, this isn't packing the court either, which is the nice little thing that they're saying. It's not. Packing the court is when you add extra judges exceeding the amount of the judges that are currently there. This is a vacancy, which means the president was to nominate someone to take. It's his constitutional duty to nominate someone for the vacancy. That being said, we'll end it there. I believe she is more than qualified. I think she will be a spectacular Supreme Court justice for years to come, hopefully a very long time. This will change the whole dynamic of the Supreme Court justices. And I'm going to explain something to you. For those of you who speak, who might be Democrat and listen to my podcast, RGB was quite the activist. Okay, she wasn't really such a constitutionalist. And let me tell you the difference between the way that Republicans work and the way the Democrats work. Over 30 Republicans voted for RGB, and then 0 voted for ACB. Okay, now let me tell you how this has worked, and it's not because this is unconstitutional or they're pushing it through right before an election. No, for Kavanaugh, they did the same exact thing. Only 3 Democrats voted for him. So this is obviously a war on the Republican Party. If a conservative is up for a vacant seat, the Democrats are going to do everything possible to stop it. But unfortunately, they couldn't, and it's done. And now we just sit back and wait for these elections. I think this is going to help a lot of candidates on both on the Senate races, House races, and even though the House didn't really participate, but per se Republicans in general, I think it's going to help them out quite a lot. It's historical for President Trump. 3 Supreme Court justices in one term. That's amazing. Now, another thing I wanted to jump into, which I found to be so ironic, right? So today, President Obama was in Orlando, Florida, and it's incredible to hear this man speak and lie and lie and lie some more. He's literally campaigning for Joe Biden while he hides in the bunker, and everything he says is bullshit. It's complete and utter lies. This is a man, he says that we've shown weakness to Putin, that Donald Trump has shown weakness to Putin. Well, fun fact for you, while you were selling them blankets and pillows, we were sending them missiles to protect themselves from Russia. Number 2, you were the one that had a private chopper go bring $1 billion to Iran, negotiating with terrorists. That's number two. Number three, you yourself said that Joe Biden should not run for president, that you did not feel he would win the election, and you were hesitant to even back him as a presidential candidate. You're a joke. The history books will remember you only as one thing, the first African American president. Aside from that, you have zero accomplishments being president. He was talking as if, okay, if anybody knows how economics works, it's a perfect circle. When things are too low, eventually it gets back up. That's just the way it is. It's a cycle. So during the Bush administration, we hit an economic crash. Obviously, it was going to go back up. It was the slowest recovery in our history. The slowest recovery in our history. And he's saying, but we left it better than what we got it. I would assume so. I mean, you got it pretty bad. So, I mean, anything was better than what we had. But that being said, it's just ironic that there's actually somebody right now that's running for president of the United States that doesn't leave more than an hour away from his house. And now he's got President Obama, who has a crowd of like 5 people, which is so sad to see. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you. And then you got the media. That's part of the problem. You got the media pretty much covering up everything about Hunter Biden. If this does not drive you crazy, then
come on, man,
you're nuts. I mean, if you're not a bit curious on what the whistleblower has to say, if you're not and these are whistleblowers that we can actually see, not Adam Schiff whistleblowers that are anonymous, or not the Atlantic's anonymous sources. These are people that are actually coming out, facing the music and showing who they are and whistleblowing on these people. So now the business partner comes out and says it's BS. Hunter Biden's business partner says, no, we did meet. Joe Biden was well aware of what was going on. The media is attacking him. Now he's a bad guy and he's lying. This is our Russian collusion. But the FBI already stated that there was nothing to do with Russia, that they've had the laptop since December, which brings me up to another interesting thing. They've had the laptop since December, during the time that President Trump was being impeached. So what's going on here? You're telling me that they knew Donald Trump was being impeached because he thought that there were some irregularities with Vice President Biden at the time, and he was curious on what was going on, and the FBI knew there were some irregularities, and they didn't present the evidence during an impeachment? I mean, seriously, listen, if people do not see what's going on here, if people do not see how fucked up and corrupt this is,
are you stupid?
I mean, there's no other words to say it. I mean, it's so obvious how biased this is. It's so obvious. They make Donald Trump look like he's the dictator. But let me explain to you something. When you have network televisions running propaganda for the other for the other candidate and disregarding all the illegal activities he's involved in, that's dictatorship. That's the beginning of dictatorship, the control of media. When the media is putting out a narrative for the dictator. I'm not saying Joe Biden's a dictator by no means. But what I'm saying is the left is the ones that are acting like the communists, the dictators, the riots on the street, pretending like it's not happening. Basically, Obama today was saying, hell, this country was built on protests. No, it wasn't. It was built on wars with the British. It was built on patriotism. It was built on law and order. And it was built on compassion, love, and all those things. No, it was not just built on protests. And these are not protests. These are riots. So get your shit together. I know that you're living right now in Martha's Vineyard, and you're away from the real world, and obviously you don't believe in climate change because you just bought a beach house. So it's obvious to me you're not worried about the elevating levels in the water or anything like that. Because if you were, you wouldn't be buying a beach house. You would know it's a bad investment. Of course, with all the climate change that's happening. Again, I've been called at least today, at least 6 times I've been called
Racist.
while I've been on Facebook. At least. Only because I'm proud that the Republicans were able to push in this Supreme Court justice. If the shoe was on the other foot, the Democrats would have done the same exact thing. There was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing abnormal about it. I mean, again, Kamala Harris misquoted and lied about historical events that happened with Abraham Lincoln, saying that he never, during an election year, he never put in a Supreme Court justice. Yeah, because they weren't working at that time. They were off. During that time, it was seasonal. The Senate would work on certain times of the year and then not work on other portions of the year. So, yeah, and then nobody fact-checked her when she said that. But nobody ever fact-checks the left. So, it's quite interesting how it works. Look, I support everybody's right to vote. I support everybody's right to vote. I don't care if you vote for Joe Biden. I don't care if you vote for Donald Trump. But at least be consistent. At least be able to look at your candidate and see the flaws like I can see Donald Trump's flaws. Because I call it out all the time on Twitch. When I'm live and streaming live and I'm answering questions live with people, I have no issues correcting things that I might not agree with Donald Trump. But, again, I want equality across the board. People should be able to see the same thing on Joe Biden. There is something fishy about what's going on with his son and the connections and the ties between China, Russia, Ukraine. These are things that should be alarming and concerning because he did this while he was vice president. Imagine while he's president. Imagine giving that man that kind of power. And then behind him is Kamala Harris, who's a socialist who doesn't even answer a question. She answers a question with a laugh. And then starts talking about that she likes hip hop. What in the hell does that have to do with progressive movements or being a socialist? Liking hip hop. This world has turned upside down. They're attacking Ice Cube. They're calling him a
Racist.
And because he called 2 different campaigns. He called 2 different parties. He called Joe Biden's party about the Platinum Plan. And guess what? They told him, let's wait till after the election. Let's wait till we get those votes, to utilize the African-American votes so then we can just wipe our asses completely with them and wait another 4 years and then make empty promises again. And then he reached out to Donald Trump's campaign, Donald Trump's people, and they decided to work with him. And he called it out for what it is. And the reality is 50 Cent, a bunch of different rappers are jumping on board to endorse him because they're seeing how much money they're going to get taxed. And it's not about whether you're rich or not. It's about just common sense. If you're a wealthy person, you don't want to pay more taxes. And just so people know, when they do these tax cuts, it's tax cuts across the board. It's not just for rich people. It's for poor people as well. So Trump's actually put in $6,500 more into the lower middle class than Obama and Bush together. Food for thought. Look at accomplishments. Do not vote based on emotion. Vote based on facts and what's in the best interest of your family and your loved ones and your country. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Do you feel homeless in today's American political world? Not really into either candidate or party? Well, guess what? You're not alone. Join me and others just like you across this great country for a discussion of politics from a viewpoint that you can't find in today's media. The Middle. I'm your host, Brian Grozier, and I invite you to join in on the discussion by downloading and listening to the Middle American Podcast.
Biden describes America and the future of America like this gloomy, depressing future of like sadness and the world's coming to an end. Where Trump, he brings sunshine. He's talking about how great America's going to be, how we're rounding the corner. Even if it's just, if it's over optimism, even if it, at least he's giving hope. At least he's giving us something to not be depressed about. And at least he's pushing forward towards some sort of positivity through all this negativity. Now, they predicted 2 million people were going to die. There was numbers up to 2.5, 2.3. 200,000 is a lot. 200,000 is a lot of people to die. One is a lot. But the reality is, this is a virus we knew nothing about, and the president was not to blame for this. He acted appropriately. I think he handled it well. Joe Biden apparently is months behind, and all the plans that he has for controlling COVID-19 is things that already were done by Donald Trump's administration. This guy is a moron. This guy is the worst presidential candidate I've ever seen. I mean, I'm young. I'm 36 years old, but I mean, I have seen some debates and I've seen some older presidential candidates. This is by far the worst presidential candidate I've ever seen in my life. This is a man that I cannot understand for the life of me why African Americans would vote for him. Why they would ask Donald Trump about white supremacy, but they wouldn't ask him about it. I mean, it's crazy. His comments in the past and his actions, which is more important, say otherwise. But again, it's ignored. It's always ignored by the left. The right will bring it up, but there's very little media outlets that are right wing. So we're doomed, you know? We don't get the facts out there. So people who follow CNN, people who follow all these different networks, they're believing the crap they're being fed when it's really opinionated news and it's not real news. When I was interviewed, and I said this several times, when I was interviewed by local news, I actually told the lady after I was done with her, and I could tell that she didn't agree with my policies. I can tell by the way the questions were asked to me. But when I saw the reporting on TV, I was like, wow, she was actually not biased at all. She reported exactly what I said. And I actually sent her a text message. I told her, you know what? I wish the mainstream media were more like local news media outlets, because you guys actually report the news. And it's sad that we're living in an era like this. I think we'll never recuperate from this. I think the media's lost. I think we lost it. I think if Trump wins, and I'm going to predict this. I'm predicting this today, 1 week before the election. Donald Trump's not going to win by a little bit. He is going to win by a lot. It is going to be a landslide. I believe these are my predictions. These are my predictions. Hear me out. I believe he's going to flip at Miami. Hillary Clinton took it in 2016. A lot of Democrats seem to always take Miami. I think he's going to flip Miami. He's going to take Florida. I think he has a possibility of flipping Minnesota. I can't confirm it. I lean more towards I think he's going to flip it. He's going to carry most of the states he carried before, if not all. And I think he's going to win by a large margin, electoral college-wise. I think he's going to lose the popular vote. I think he is going to lose the popular vote because thankfully this is a country that is not only ran by New York's population and California's population, it's ran by everybody, and that's why the electoral college works so perfect. But I mean, it's just madness. It's craziness. Now, I mean, it's just, though we feel, look, between the pandemic, between everything that's happened, look, Donald Trump had this in the bag prior to the pandemic. He had this in the bag. The pandemic set him back, and maybe it was intentional. Maybe this was part of the Chinese plan. Maybe this was all a giant plan from China. We don't know. We know some people have said that this was created in a Wuhan laboratory, in a lab in Wuhan. Some people have said it. We don't know. And we possibly may never know. But I promise you one thing. History will remember Donald Trump as a peace stealer, as one of the presidents that have made the most accomplishments on peace, and one of the greatest presidents this country's ever had. And I say peace because he's not engaged anymore in wars. He hasn't continued wars that were already previously in the process during other administrations. And he prevented a lot of possible wars with North Korea, possibly Russia, Iran. He created peace by strength. That's literally what he did. He just created that Middle the Middle East peace deal, and more people are jumping on board. It would be really sad if Donald Trump doesn't win the election. It would be extremely sad to not see the potential and what the possibilities of 4 more years of Donald Trump could bring to this country. And I think this country needs a little more of Donald Trump, because what's coming after Donald Trump scares the shit out of me. It scares me for many reasons, because there will be more AOCs. There will be more crazy lefties that are born in suburban neighborhoods with parents that have money but believe in a socialized government. People that don't know what the struggle is, people that do not. I mean, I found it so appalling today when I saw Obama trying to convince Cuban people to vote for Biden. This is a man that slapped the Cuban community in the face when he watched a baseball game with Raul Castro, Fidel Castro's brother, with his wife, watching a baseball game, eating popcorn as Belgium was being bombed. He literally watched a baseball game with a dictator that ruined hundreds of thousands of lives. Nobody ever brings that up. But Cubans don't forget. And they're going to be a major reason on why Joe Biden is going to lose Miami. And if Trump gets Miami, forget about it. He's got the rest of the panhandle. He's got my area for sure. Fort Myers, Sarasota, Naples. It's all red, baby. We got Trump signs everywhere. I could see the momentum. I mean, you could see it in the crowds. You could see people are waiting. You think that people are willing to wait 4 hours in the rain in 40-degree weather to watch Donald Trump for a rally? They're not going to go out there and vote for him? You better believe they are. You better believe they are. Absolutely.
Come on, man.
Without a doubt. So, I'm telling you, I'm giving you liberals out there a reality check. A strong reality check. Just letting you know. Prepare yourself for another 4 years of Donald Trump. I know it hurts. I know it's something that's hard to grasp. But he will be your president again for 4 years. And if Joe Biden wins, I'll take him as my president as well. I'll still consider him my president. I won't agree with his policies. You'll be hearing me ranting about him all the time on my podcast on every mistake, because I'm going to call him out on every single fucking mistake he makes. But I will still consider him my president. And I think that that's what makes the difference between Republicans and patriots than Democrats. And for all those celebrities out there who are planning on leaving the country, start packing your bags, because you got about a week before the election, before you find out Donald Trump's going to be your president again. So I suggest you start getting your plane tickets. Try to get them in advance, so that way it doesn't cost you too much money. Not that you guys don't have the money to pay for it anyways, but so you can get your plans together, you can get your affairs in order. You should start preparing already. I'm gonna miss you guys so much, but it's something you guys have to do. You have to leave the country because Donald Trump got reelected. So I bid you farewell, and I wish you the best of luck in your journeys. Yeah, we all know that's not gonna happen. They all said the same shit in 2016, and they all stayed here. So it is what it is. But yeah, guys, I feel wonderful. I feel wonderful. I feel like the country's headed in the right direction. And I just wanted to express that to you guys, because you guys should feel wonderful too. We've made big strides to make this country better. And I know a lot of people are struggling out there. I know a lot of people are going through some tough times. Hey, listen, I'm not going through good times either. I'm just not going to talk about it because it's my personal life. But nothing's easy right now for none of us. But one thing Americans have is we're strong. We're strong. We get through things. We fight through things. And we'll get through this together. We'll all get through this. I want everybody to know out there that you're not alone. Whatever struggles you're having, a lot of people are having it with you. And they're fighting. And they're fighting. They haven't lost hope. And we're going to get through this. And we're going to get back to normality. And we're going to make this country great again. And we're going to keep pushing forward. And we're going to make our lives great again. And but just understand, you're not alone. You're not alone. We're all going through this together. We're all suffering together. And I just wanted to give you guys that message because I feel like it's something that needs to be said. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not alone. You know, a lot of people feel helpless. They feel alone. They lost their jobs. They feel like they're losing everything around them. They're losing their minds. They're losing their businesses. They're losing everything they worked for years. Having arguments all the time with your wife or your husband. And I want you to know you're not alone. We're all going through this together. We'll all get through this together. We're Americans. We're strong. We've been through worst. So stay strong, guys. Stay hopeful. And don't forget to vote come November 3rd. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
We will make America great again.